Hello, Shark Boy. Hello. Ian is not with me yet, and he may not be able to make it after all, so I might have to change that. But, yeah. I'm gonna do this. I'm not playing a video game, this live stream. Instead, I'm going to be building this Lego set that I got for Christmas. It's Kylo Ren's shuttle from the new Star Wars movie. Well, technically, it's in all of the sequel trilogy movies. Yes. And while I do so, I'm gonna talk about The Rise of Skywalker and how much I hated it. So yeah, should be fun. Hello, the jolliest lad. Okay, Ian will let me know if he can join me after all. I'm not too sure yet, something might have come up for him, but yeah, okay. So yeah, we're going to be building plastic bricks for adults. Don't look at the 10 plus. That's not there. Yeah, this live stream is not made for kids. I'm saying that because of the FTC and the new rules they're gonna have starting next year. So if I were to do this 1 week from now, I don't know if I would be allowed to do this or not, but hey, we'll find out. Okay, well, I'm not gonna get all the bags out to start with, I guess. I guess I'll just debag one. This is a weird setup, I'm not used to this, so yeah. But this was one of the sequel trilogy Lego sets I've been missing for a while. They originally made this set for episode 7, but it was inaccurate. Because the ship was gray and the wings didn't operate how they do in the movies. Because they were basing it on concept art before the movie came out. Yeah, so this is the movie accurate version. Toy unboxing. Yes, in a way. I'm trying to look at the camera back and forth while I do this so that I try to keep this on camera so you can see what's happening. Yeah, Shark Boy or Jolly Lad, have either of you seen The Rise of Skywalker? I believe Jolly Lad told me he hasn't. That he isn't really planning on seeing it. That's what we're doing with the bags there. I'm hoping Ian will join me, because that'll make it a lot more fun. Because he saw the movie too, and we both thought it was awful. Wait, I just realized I might be showing those text on camera. I wasn't even thinking about that. Oh, that's weird. Maybe. I don't know. Try to keep that off camera. Okay. Alright, so first we're going to build a Kylo Ren. Alright. Well, I guess I can talk about this first, if I can get it to focus on that. Focus! Focus! Do it! Oh. Kind of, maybe? It can't make up its mind. But Kylo Ren reassembles his helmet in the movie, which doesn't make any sense to me, because the whole point of him destroying his helmet in The Last Jedi was, he was, you know, it was part of his character development. He was no longer going to be fixated on trying to be like Darth Vader, but he was going to, you know, sort of become his own character, his own villain. And No, that's what he did. He took over the galaxy by defeating his master. And then the Rise of Skywalker just undoes all of that by having him reassemble his helmet, which was symbolism of the change in his character. Smoke weed every day. Don't smoke weed every day, that's a disclaimer. I shouldn't hold my phone up to the camera. That's the ringtone from my sister. I'm actually 10? No! I'm not 10. Wait, you've never seen a Star Wars movie, Shark Boy? Also, sorry, because like when I look at the chat, my head is going to be turned away from the microphone. The only one... Wait. The only one you've seen is the first movie, like a year ago. You mean the original first one made, A New Hope, aka Star Wars when it came out, from 1977? I guess that's what you mean. That's awesome, Shark Boy, if you saw that. I certainly hope I wouldn't accidentally dox myself, Shark Boy. Alright. Well, yeah, the Last Jedi is on Disney Plus now. For a while it wasn't because they still had a deal with Netflix. Okay, anyways, Kylo Ren. He needs a black cape. They got the printing off a little bit on the neck, but it doesn't really matter because you never really see that. Smoke weed every day. Smoke weed every day. He has two faces. This is not going to focus, is it? Maybe a little bit. Come on. Oh my god, this is just irritating. Okay. So that's one of his faces. This is the other one. If I can get it to focus, maybe I have to block everything else out. It still doesn't focus. Hello, the power gunner. Okay, well, anyways, this face is less angry. Hey, there. Why does... Oh my god. Yeah, he has a less angry face and a more angry face. You just turn his head around. They should have had hair come with his character instead of just the helmet, because then you could have him without the helmet, but oh well. Alright, and then we have General Pride. I actually liked the performance of General Pride in the movie. But I don't know, he sort of felt like wasted potential in a trash plot. Okay, so it looks like he has a little gun. Where's his gun? And Kylo Ren has his lightsaber. There's Kylo Ren's lightsaber. Yay. Alright. I'm hoping Ian shows up. Because I'm realizing right now it might not be all that easy to just talk about the movie on my own with people in the chat who haven't seen it. What? Oh, I put that on early for some reason. Okay. But yeah, this ship, I think it's a really cool design. It's like this giant flying V shape. and it's inspired by the Imperial shuttles, but you know, it looks distinctly different. What did I get for Christmas? Ian, IRL or over the phone? It'll be over the phone, over the Discord phone. Yeah, I got this for Christmas and a few other things. My sister made me a Baby Yoda. Maybe I should get that and show it to you guys. Maybe I'll do that a little bit later. And she got me Stranger Things Trivial Pursuit, which was fun to play. Did I put that on right? Okay, I did. And I got some cookies and some M&Ms. And that's what I got for Christmas. Oh, I also, my sister's boyfriend, Alec, got me some Hobbit feet slippers. So I got that as well. Yeah. Does anyone watching build Lego sets or, I don't know, play the Lego video games? I'm sure at least everyone's played a Lego game. But yeah, I uploaded that video earlier this year of me, you know, building that other Lego set and stuff. That was fun. It was a nice change of pace. I don't know how often I'll do that though. Why is that? Oh, okay. Huh. Okay, so this is probably going to be like the middle of this ship. This looks like it's seating, but it looks like it's also going to double as a ramp that can come down like that. I don't know if characters will actually fit on the ramp, because in the Imperial shuttle set I have, they don't actually like fit on it while it opens. It's more of just a cool thing to be there, or to suggest that that feature is there, even though it doesn't fully work. Oh, did I put this on wrong? Oh, I put this on wrong. Oh no, I messed up. I'm being distracted. You got a Pokemon plush imported from Japan from your sister for Christmas. Oh, cool. What else did anyone get? And which Pokemon was it? I don't know much about Pokemon, but which one? Okay, where did I mess up? Right here, okay. Ugh. Put that too far forward. Oh, nice. You got an electric guitar. You can actually see one in the background there, it's actually my sister's. Well, nice. Do you play guitar already, or is it a new thing that you're going to learn? Right? Yeah, right. Okay. Infamous needs microtransactions. Snorlax, okay. Snorlax. Okay. Well, nice, Shark Boy. I have an acoustic, and my sister has an electric. I don't play that often. I sort of wish I did play more often, but I just pretty much play it for fun once in a while. I love the snapping sounds of Lego bricks. It's like ASMR for me. Looks like we've built another seat. Maybe this will be a pilot seat, and I'm guessing these are passenger seats or something. Yeah, I honestly didn't know who owned that account, Jolly Lad. But now I know that it is you who is me. Where is this piece? Oh, there it is. Yeah, it's kind of hard to talk about The Rise of Skywalker when you guys haven't seen it, so you guys should have done your homework. But, seriously, if you don't care about Star Wars, like, I wouldn't recommend seeing it, because then you're just giving Disney more money for something that is poorly written and just a bunch of fan service. You know, and, like, that's what I've been saying about Infamous for years, is, you know, if they were to make another game, I don't want stupid fan service. You know, I don't want Cole to come back and fight the beast again with Delsin, or whatever the hell all these fans say they want. You know? So that really wouldn't make for an interesting story. And the issue with just getting fan service is, sure, it's sort of cool to see as a fan, right? But it's not gonna really leave a lasting impression like the thing that the fan service is referencing did, because the thing that it's referencing is an original story, and that's why you like it in the first place. So why not tell more original stories? Okay, so now we are going to attach this to that. I guess this whole thing is sort of the cockpit part of the ship. I'm guessing. We shall see. That's what we got so far. It has this ramp that goes down like that. Ugh. You thought that the Paragunner died? Well, there he is in the chat. What do you know? well, it doesn't end on a high note. And, like, I would say that overall, my main issue with the movie is that it takes what Rian Johnson set up in the Last Jedi, and it throws all of it in the trash. And I know a lot of fans didn't like The Last Jedi, but I really liked what it was going for. So that's very it's very disappointing to, you know, the fans who actually saw what they were trying to do with that movie and liked it, because now they don't have a satisfying ending to the trilogy. Now the ending will only satisfy fans who didn't like the middle of the trilogy. So overall, like, the whole trilogy just doesn't work. Oh, you know who else might want to join me and talk about it? Brandon. He's seen it. He liked it a little bit more than I did, but he's not as big of a Star Wars fan. Okay, well, we'll see if one of them shows up. It is a busy holiday time, though, so they might have things they're already doing. So yeah, how was everyone's Christmas other than presents? Presents aren't the only thing to look forward to with Christmas, you know? You can spend a fun time with your family and all that. Some people celebrate the birth of Jesus, there's that too. Alex? Do you mean my sister's boyfriend Alec, or do you mean Alex, the friend of Ian's that I used to make videos with a long time ago? I'm a little confused. Oh man, a fanfic about me and Cole? No way. Oh. Well, I guess I'll just have to wait and see, Jolly Lad. Wait, what? Oh, I put that in the wrong place. You know, why didn't this set come with a brick separator tool? Usually all of the larger sets do, and this one's over 1,000 pieces, so you would think it would. It's helpful to have that. I might have to go get one. Or I could just not mess up. And I just cut my fingernails. I'm gonna go get a brick separator tool. I'll also get my Baby Yoda to show you my Baby Yoda. Alright, I'll be back soon. Alright, I am back. Jolly lad, be careful what you wish for. Alright, so this is the Baby Yoda that my sister made me. It's made out of, like, clay. And it's pretty awesome. She's probably going to redo the coloring on the face a little bit to make it more accurate. Yeah, also, it doesn't exactly stand up on its own. Like, it can, but it's at a risk of falling over if it gets bumped, and then the ears might get broken off or something. So I think she might also work out something better for standing it up. I don't know if she'll add feet or what, but yeah, it's awesome. She made this and gave it to me, and she could probably make these and sell them for like $50 online. That's what I told her. Yeah, there's Baby Yoda. I'm going to set him down right there. I'm not going to stand him up, just so he doesn't fall over. Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I could not get into that one. But, oh, and I got the brick separator tool so I can finally get this stupid piece off. There we go. See? Easy. Easy. Alright. Now, we do this step correctly. Ethan, have you seen Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker? Because this was meant to be like a bit of a spoiler talk or whatever, but it's hard to have much of a conversation about it when Ian isn't here yet, and no one in the chat has seen it. Hey, it's Mikudu. Hello. Oh my god, it's not a Nazi salute. I just realized this is totally what it looks like, though. No, he's using the Force to build Legos. To create life. My sister's at work right now, and she hasn't seen it, although I've told her everything that happens in it, because she doesn't care for Star Wars that much in the first place. And she she had a feeling it was going to be bad. She knew it would be bad. I was avoiding watching the trailers because I didn't want to know anything going into it. So yes, it really is just awful. Palpatine is back for no reason. And they literally don't even explain how he's back. Literally, the only line is, "The dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural." And yeah, it's literally just a prequel meme line that he uses to non-explain it. It's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, that's the weird thing. Since Rey is Palpatine's granddaughter, that means at some point Palpatine got it on with someone. I actually did the math, and it would have happened around the time of Revenge of the Sith. So I don't know if it was before or after his melty face. I have no idea. Yeah, and okay, so Rey being Palpatine's granddaughter, it totally just it's just ugh. So in The Last Jedi, it is revealed that Rey's parents were no one special, right? Which was awesome because not only is it the most challenging the most challenging thing for her to face as a character, but also it means that anyone could be, someone who ends up being naturally force sensitive. It doesn't have to be someone who comes from a known powerful bloodline, which is cool because the force flows through all life, as we learn throughout the movies. And I really liked it because it sort of, gives it a meaning to where like anyone can be a hero. It doesn't matter where you come from. Oh, okay, I'm putting that on here. I'm getting confused because I'm looking back and forth at the chat and this, so I'm just blaming that on you guys because that's what all good YouTubers do. Okay, I'm gonna do this, right? Yeah. Alright, so that's what we've got now. If I do this whole thing in one sitting, it's going to take forever, so this might be multiple live streams, or maybe I'll just finish it off camera, I don't know. Okay. Oh, here. Oh, we'll make these guys sit down here. Just for fun. I don't know if Kylo Ren's cape is going to fit in that. Oh, I was putting him... Was I putting him backwards? Yeah, I was. Okay. There we go. Okay. I've got any text back from Ian or Brandon? No. Maybe I should take the with Ian thing out of the title. Try not to clickbait people. I won't worry about taking it out of the thumbnail, though. You never know, he might show up. But the plot was just bad. Yeah. Rey's parents having to escape while the rebels won. They could have just gone to them and said, "Hey ho, Papa Palpatine is live. He wants our ass. Can you please do something about it?" Yeah, I mean, none of it makes sense when you think about, like, retroactively how it would fit into the established universe and lore, you know? It's like, Palpatine has been around this whole time building an army of giant star destroyers that are also Death Stars. Somehow. And for some reason, he's done this all in secret, and he made Snoke... Oh, yeah, that's the other thing. There's literally just his one line, "I made Snoke." Then you see a bunch of Snokes growing in jars. It's the silliest thing ever. It's like, I can't believe that is in the real, actual canon movie. It just seems like an awful fan fiction that you would read on the internet. I'm doing some fast building now. Look at that. Ugh. Where's the little vent? Oh, there's the little vent. This thing. Cole thought that anyone could be a hero. Oh, wait, what? Cole taught that anyone could be a hero lesson better in like 2005 or something like that. You mean 2009? But yeah, I get what you mean though. Yeah, you know, Cole is just the everyday, like, not important bike messenger, sort of, you know, working class sort of guy who is, you know, just a normal guy with a shitty job that he doesn't like. And then with Rey was literally just on some desert planet doing nothing with her life because her parents basically sold her into slavery. Not exactly. She wasn't a slave, but they sold her so that they could get drunk. Which I thought was really cool. Turns out they actually... That's not what happened. Actually, her parents were trying to have her not get found by Palpatine or something. None of it makes sense. Oh, here's a text. Let's see. Okay, so Brandon can't join me. Ian maybe. Yeah, Snoke is a test tube baby. Plastic bricks for adults. Yeah, I didn't know that Baby Yoda is a Nazi, but now I know. I can't believe I didn't see that before. Oh well. Alright, so, Mikudu Man? I'm not quite sure how to say her name. But, You're saying they brought in Palpatine because Snoke was killed off in the last movie, and you're saying they could have retconned Snoke's death. You're right that they could have retconned Snoke's death, because the one thing that indicates that he might not be dead at the end of The Last Jedi is that Rey and Kylo Ren still have the Force connection even after he's dead. That doesn't necessarily mean he's still alive after it, but my issue is I don't think they needed Snoke or Palpatine to be the villain in the movie. I think Kylo Ren should have just been the villain, and it would have been much more interesting. Because, I mean, he's the best character in the sequel trilogy. They did him so well in the first two movies. And I think, he really earned a spot being the main villain. That's what should have happened. Cola's Rey. You know what? That's the best theory I've heard yet, Shark Boy. I think Cola's Rey too. What? Selling? No. You would sell your kid for $2, Jolliest Lad? That's even worse than Rey's parents. Because Rey's parents, I guess they sold her to Unkar Plutt. The real question is for how many portions, though. Was it 60 portions? Or maybe it was just 1/4 portion. We don't know. Wait, what? Oh, yeah, okay. Your name stands for that German saying, which is German for your compliment is an understatement. Right? You're saying that I'm right about Kylo Ren. They also did the Knights of Ren dirty. What a bad payoff. Boring and wasted potential. Yes, I agree. In fact, in this Lego set, some of the Knights of Ren are in it. I just, need to open more bags of the Legos to get to wherever they are in it. Yeah, so here's the thing about the Knights of Ren. There's one line in The Force Awakens where Snoke tells Kylo Ren that he's the master of the Knights of Ren. At that point, we don't know what the Knights of Ren actually are exactly. We do see them in Rey's Force vision. I assumed that they were some more of Luke's students who also turned to the dark side with Kylo Ren. Whether or not that is actually the case in canon, I'm not even sure at this point. Alright, I'm going to take these guys out. They're making it harder to do this. Did this go in here yet? Oh, not quite. Almost. But yeah, so honestly, in The Last Jedi, I thought that the Knights of Ren might have just been Snoke's guards. I think that could have fit, That Kylo Ren trained all of the guards. Or Snoke and Kylo Ren or something. Or maybe... Okay, this would have been interesting. What if these Knights of Ren were all people who betrayed Luke Skywalker's Jedi Order? They were some of his apprentices. And... So they all went to Snoke. Snoke trained all of them. And maybe he had them fight or something. Or he figured out which one he thought was the most powerful that Snoke wanted to be his apprentice, and then maybe the other ones just got turned into his guards. You know, that's not canon. But that's something that I thought when I watched The Last Jedi, like, oh, maybe that's the case. But no, it's not. But yeah, in the Rise of Skywalker, the Knights of Ren, they don't even do anything. So I don't even know why J.J. Abrams put them in. Because, you know, by putting them in, it's like, oh, okay, so we're going to figure out what this actually is now, right? Nope. They just wear costumes and look cool, but they don't do anything. How valuable is Rey to Unkar Plutt? You know, I've actually never even thought about that before this live stream, so there's that. There's that. Oh. Hey, it's Ian. Ian can join. Yay! I'm so happy. Alright, Ian's gonna join. I gotta get Discord up and get this figured out. This might take a little while. Might have a few technical difficulties, so bear with me. Oh yeah, and the Sith Troopers. There's also gonna be one of those in this Lego set. Yeah, same thing with them. They look cool, but they don't do anything. Also, they don't make any sense because I guess they're part of Palpatine's army, yet the design of their helmets looks like the First Order Stormtrooper design, not the old Stormtrooper design. And Palpatine's Star Destroyers look like the old Star Destroyers, so I don't know. From a design standpoint, it doesn't really make sense. Okay. We're gonna try to get Ian on Discord here. And hopefully I can hear him, because I was having some output issues before. Hello? Hi! You are live, by the way. How's it going? To me, it sounds alright. I guess we will wait and see if... Here we go, okay. So the live stream should be able to hear you now. We'll see if the chat says if your voice volume sounds alright.
Okay. I'm just curious because I'm using my headset microphone and not my computer microphone. The reason for that is... Go ahead.
Talking to someone in the chat here, I really like the Nazi World War II symbolism in Star Wars. I didn't really get that from the Sith Troopers, though.
They were so underused in that film.
Yeah. I was just talking about that. Like, they literally just are there, and they look cool, and they don't do anything.
Yeah, you would think with all the marketing that was going around for them, especially in the trailers, they were going to serve some kind of a purpose or be like a super elite tier of Stormtrooper, but no, they were just red.
Yeah.
That was it.
I didn't even watch the trailers, but I saw pictures of them online and stuff. There's actually a minifigure of them in this Lego set that I'm building. I don't know if you want to pull up the live stream and see what I'm doing or not. But
I probably will.
For you. I also have this... oh yeah, I sent you a picture of it. The Baby Yoda that my sister made me.
Yes.
Something that the chat noticed that I didn't even think of is it sort of looks like it's doing a Hitler salute. And now I can't stop thinking about that.
That's actually really funny.
Here, I'm going to add your name back to the title of the stream. I took it out because I didn't want to be all clickbaity and stuff.
Okay, sweet. So, where are we in this discussion? Just so I don't like retread over already discussed topics.
I haven't been talking about too much, just because I haven't really had anyone to talk about it that much. I think one person in the chat has seen the movie, but other than that, other people haven't really seen it, but they don't really care to see it, or they don't care about spoilers.
Yes.
So, the main things I've talked about how overall, the story is poorly written, how it goes back on things that were in The Last Jedi, how certain characters were underused, such as this character, General Pride. Really well cast, but I don't know. his actual character in the movie. I almost knocked my camera over. He didn't seem like he even needed to be there necessarily. He felt very wasted.
Yeah, my brother brought up a pretty good point about him. If he is supposedly this long time, very old guy, not old in sense of age, even though he is kind of old, but if he has this long history with the Empire and he's this high-ranking officer,
Mm-hmm.
where the hell has he been for the last two movies?
Yeah, I mean, I'm
Oh,
fine with them bringing in a new officer because, Hux is Hux.
yeah.
They need someone that actually feels like more of a villain. I'm fine with Hux being a comic relief, like over the top crazy man, but I'm fine with them bringing in an officer that actually feels like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he's supposed to be intimidating and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh God, Hux. There's so many things I could say about Hux. Like,
What did you think about his
honestly,
short part in the movie?
so we're thinking about the same thing, of course. When it came to his plot twist, right? That's what you're referring to. The sort of kind of plot twist with him when Finn and Poe get captured.
Um. Yeah, sorry, I zoned out for a moment because I was building
It's all
something.
right. So the idea of him being a spy, I actually thought could work when it happened because it was a really funny moment when he grabs the blaster and he goes, "I want to do this myself," and then just shoots the stormtroopers and he's like, "I'm the spy." That was funny. That genuinely made me laugh. But then when you learn the reason for him betraying the First Order, I was just like, "Come on,
Yeah, it's
you
sort
guys,
of
you guys
a
can
little
do
bit
better."
overly silly. Like, I just want to make sure that Kylo Ren loses.
Yeah, that was just childish and stupid. They had something good going with him being a spy, like genuinely, and then they gave him the motivation of a child, and I was like, no, no.
I mean, in a way, it sort of works for his character, but they could have gone deeper on his character and done more with him. I think he should have had more than just that one scene in the movie.
Me too.
But I mean, this movie is so jam packed with everything that from from a writer's standpoint, I understand why Hux isn't in the movie, but I don't understand why the movie turned out the way that it did, other than catering to the fans.
Which is, I mean, if you ask me, just don't do that. There's a difference between listening to what your audience wants out of you and just doing things specifically because the fans think it would be cool. Fans, 9 times out of 10, do not have critical thinking capabilities possible of writing actually good things. They
Yeah,
just want to see stuff that they think would be cool. Don't listen to your fans. Just general rule, don't do that. I know that sounds bad, but
I
in the
mean
proper in the
it's
proper
true.
context, yeah, in the proper context, just don't do it. If people listen to their fans, we would have had the infamous scenario that you brought up when you first saw the movie.
Um, yeah. Oh, like Cole coming back to life and fighting
Hmm.
the Beast again with Delsin or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, we
Yeah,
we did just no, no, not at all.
yeah. Making um, infamous videos over the years has taught me that a lot of fans they don't like all that they want is more of the things that all they are already a fan of. They don't want new things to be a fan of. At least that's
No,
what it
they
seems
don't.
like when people say these things and come up with idiotic theories and whatnot.
I get the same idea. I don't see people genuinely, well, when it comes to fans anyway, most people, if you take 100 people, one of them is going to have a genuinely good idea. The rest of them is just going to be nonsensical garbage that you can't actually do anything with.
Hmm.
Um, but enough bashing on people who like things because that's not going to get us anywhere. Uh, I think one of the things besides everything that really irritated me about this movie was the way they handled the Knights of Ren.
Yeah, I actually just went over that, but feel free to say what you want. That's fine with me.
Well, I don't have a whole lot to say about them, primarily because there's not a whole lot to go off of. Obviously, Last Jedi did nothing with them at all, which I think was kind of a mistake. They could have used them in some way, shape, or form in Episode 8, but I'm not going to criticize that movie because that's not
Yeah,
what we're talking about.
I think
I just,
on 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 that note, I think what would have made the most sense is if they were Snoke's guards. You know?
yeah, either that or since JJ had to bring them back in this movie because he wanted to, if anything, simple way out. Just make them the students from Luke's temple that Kylo Ren brought with him.
Yeah, and maybe just
That's
write in that Kylo killed all of them in battle. Like maybe Snoke tested them all in battle, and Kylo beat all the other ones, so he was chosen by Snoke or whatever. You know?
yeah. I don't know. It's irritating that they were introduced in episode 7 and there was a lot of mystery around them, like with everything, and then there's just no answer to who they are. They're just random people. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, I would have preferred no answer to them being in the movie and just having no answer still and them doing nothing. You know, I'd rather them just not be in the movie or ever mentioned again.
Yeah, they didn't even really do anything besides die.
How
They
would they
just
even die? I've
walk
only seen the
around.
movie once, and that part of the movie has like left my mind already.
So you know the scene. Major spoilers, not like anybody cares because that's what you're here
Yeah,
for.
I mean this is
But
titled spoilers.
the end the end of the movie when they're both on Exegol, which that part in and of itself, oh my god. But they're on Exegol and Rey is like walking up to Palpatine and she's got the lightsaber and she puts it behind her back and then Kylo Ren takes it through the Force, or Ben I should say, takes it through the Force.
Hmm.
They teleport it and then he uses it to kill the Knights of Ren because they're on the planet trying to stop him.
Oh, I didn't. Okay, I was unsure who the hell that like army of people were that they're gonna fight. I thought it was like the evil spirits of all of the Sith or something. I was very confused during that part.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, but when Ben is trying to catch up with Rey and he's in the big hallway with all the statues, that's who he fights.
Hmm.
And he just murders them all in cold blood. So yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
And uh, speaking of that, one of the things that I thought was a complete missed opportunity is that throughout the whole movie, Rey is being given this message of like, accept who you are, and there's multiple
Yeah.
different interpretations of that message thrown at her by different people. Some people, like Leia, and I don't know if Luke's Force Ghost ever tells her this or not, but people who are on the quote unquote good side are telling her not to be afraid of who she is as a way of like embracing her true nature and just, doing what she thinks is right. Other people like Emperor Palpatine are trying to get her to embrace who she is because she was born of the dark side, whatever. She was born into evil. That's her
Hmm.
bloodline. I think a missed opportunity there is her lightsaber. She doesn't get her own lightsaber until the very end of the movie, and she
Yes.
just turns it on
Yes.
and turns it off. Like, if she's going to be her own person, have her become her own version of what a Jedi is and use her own lightsaber and break free of that stigma in the movie, not at the very end.
Yeah. So, Anakin's lightsaber is broken in the Last Jedi, and it felt like that had no consequence whatsoever because she's already rebuilt it off screen in the time be, between this movie and the Last Jedi. So it just it felt like it had no consequence. I think it would have been interesting if in the movie she has to figure out how to, salvage the lightsaber or build her own. Maybe she uses the crystal in it and puts it in her staff and like turns that into a lightsaber or something. But I don't know.
Yeah. I could easily, and that would have actually been pretty neat if they wanted to go with things that were somewhat out of the ordinary for the movies up to this point. They could have easily had her make a double-sided lightsaber
Mm-hmm.
out of her staff. That would have fit her fighting style perfectly. It would have been neat to see a Jedi, or at least a good guy, I'll put it that way,
Yeah.
heavy quotations, using a double-sided lightsaber in the movies. The only person we've seen do that so far is Darth Maul, as far as the live-action films
Yeah.
go. So, a
Yeah.
lot of missed
It
opportunities.
would have made sense. It would have been something a little bit new and interesting, and it would have been symbolism for her finding her own way in the galaxy and becoming her own person and not being defined by anything that came before, which is what ultimately I think that's how these movies should have ended. Is not, just being fan service, but being turned into something that felt new, which I think Rian Johnson did a pretty good job of doing in The Last Jedi.
At least he tried. I got to give him credit for that. I
Yeah.
mean,
It didn't end up going anywhere, but he tried.
I know a lot of people really don't like Last Jedi, but personally speaking, if I had to judge just the new trilogy by itself, just these three movies, Last Jedi is my favorite one. It's the only one that did anything different.
Mm-hmm. I need to catch up on the chat a little bit. Hello, the Dark Phantom. Hello there. Says Merry Christmas and stuff.
I should probably read the chat as well.
Merry Christmas to you as well. How was everyone else's Christmas? I know I'd asked some of you, but I know there's some new people to the chat since then. Hello, Zabas.
Hope everybody had a good unboxing day.
Yeah.
Makes a good point with Darth Revan. I think something else that they could have done, since they completely basically erased all of the pre-existing expanded universe lore when Disney bought Star Wars, they could have done their own version of Old Republic.
Yeah, and they actually might do that. I think if they did a TV show or even a new trilogy some years from now, that could be interesting. Dark Revan is actually canon now. Like, not everything that happened with him, but
Yes.
I believe it's, where is it? It's in the book that they publish every time a new movie comes out that like talks about the lore of everything.
Yes.
It says that there are legions of Sith troopers named after different Sith, and like there's one named after Revan. So he's canon. We
Ooh.
don't know anything really about that character in canon because they might not go with what was in the old video games or whatever. But the character is now
Yeah.
canon.
See, that's something I'd like to see because they could easily implement their own ideas into Old Republic and not have to worry too much about screwing with the Skywalker canon because it's so far apart in time span that it wouldn't really matter all that much if they did something different. Of course, you have to follow certain events, but they could have way more creative freedom in that era of the lore.
Yeah, that would be awesome. And if Rian Johnson's trilogy is still happening, I'm not sure if it is or if he would even want to do it after what they did with his setup. But if that is still happening, maybe that's what it would focus on. I think that'd be pretty interesting.
If I had to like sum up, if I had to sum up Rise of Skywalker, I would say they tried to do the end game of Star Wars.
Yeah.
and it didn't work because I mean you can tell they were trying to copy Endgame in a lot of ways, especially with all of the nostalgia they threw into it. Endgame had a lot of fan service. It had a lot of nostalgic moments in it. Some people liked it, some people didn't. It had a generally positive, outcome, but you can only get away with that if you've built up everything as well as Marvel has. And I know Disney owns them now, but that was a very time-consuming, a lot of effort that went into that, and everything was meticulously put together. Not from the beginning, of course, but once they realized they could make a universe out of it, they really started to pay attention to things and build it up.
Yep.
Just because Star Wars has existed since 1977 doesn't mean it's had the same amount of time and effort built into it, especially since they erased like 90% of the canon when Disney bought it.
Hmm.
That was a big mistake. They shouldn't have tried to take the Marvel route again.
Yeah, they absolutely needed to plan things out where it was going to go. They didn't need to know everything. They just need to go. They need to know in general how everything was going to end.
And
And
one of
it's
my
very obvious that they had no plan.
it's incredibly obvious. One of my biggest criticisms with Rise of Skywalker in particular is just the Emperor's plan. If you want to bring him back, okay. I mean, I don't personally think that's a good idea because in my eyes that really diminishes Darth Vader's sacrifice.
Yeah.
But if you want to bring him back, fine. Let's roll with that. Let's just pretend that's okay for a minute. Even with their idea of bringing him back, the way they handle this character makes no sense. If you are going to stay in the shadows and manipulate everything from behind a closed door, when Snoke dies,
I
if
made
you
Snoke.
exactly where I'm going with this. If you made Snoke, if he's a test tube baby, right, and you made Snoke as some sort of puppet, some clone, why reveal your plans after he's dead? Why not just make another Snoke and confuse everybody
Yeah.
in the shadows? Like why? It just his motivation doesn't make any sense at all.
And like, why would he even make Snoke? Snoke. Why would he just not be the leader of the First Order in the first place? The reason is because they
Exactly.
weren't planning on that happening, so they had to shoehorn it in.
No, no, they weren't planning on it at all. Yeah, oh God. And
Let me look at the chat a little bit more, but you can keep talking.
um, one of the things that bothered me the most about Palpatine is that they made him into a cartoon villain.
Yeah, I mean, okay. Here's one of my issues with Palpatine. Even in the prequels, which are overall, pretty bad movies, Palpatine is the most fun part of them because that actor, he just does such a great job of playing that character and making him fun. In this movie, Palpatine didn't even feel fun.
He didn't. He didn't. You're
He
right.
wasn't fun to watch like he was in the prequels, even though the rest of those movies were pretty bad. And this one is just the whole movie is pretty bad.
I can already see this meme being made right now. There's a picture of Palpatine from Episode 3, and then a picture of him from Episode 9, and it says there's 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 two kinds of people, and then it shows him from Episode 3 saying do it, and then it shows him from Episode 9 saying do it. There's no character behind Episode 9.
Yeah.
There's none. When he says do it in that movie, it doesn't feel the same as when he says do it in Episode 3. There's such a difference there, and it's so telling of how differently he was handled.
Mm-hmm.
Just in two words. I know, odd thing to kind of point out, but it makes it just it's I don't even know what to say.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Dark Phantom is bringing up a few other things. He said that he liked the movie. I would ask why exactly you like the movie. Like I get that there's fun action scenes, but to me they don't matter if the story is just nonsensical and stupid. um, you also said, what about Star Wars Rebels? What can they do with that? Well, the show ended. I haven't seen all of Rebels. I've watched some of it. I'm watching it now that Disney Plus has it. I did hear they didn't tie up all the loose ends with the way that they ended it, so I'll have to watch it first and figure out what I think of that.
One of my biggest issues with Disney actually is every single thing Disney has acquired. They can't ever just continue something that's good. They have to throw it away and start their own version of it because we can do it better, even though they can't.
Yeah.
The two examples I have for that are Spectacular Spider-Man, which to this day I think is the best animated version of Spider-Man I've ever seen. When they bought out Marvel from who owned Marvel Studios before Disney did? Was it actually
Marvel did. It was just...
So it was actually them.
Yeah.
Okay. So when they bought Marvel from Marvel, as funny as that sounds, they couldn't just continue off of that animated show, which was fantastic. They had to start Ultimate Spider-Man, which was terrible. It was absolutely terrible.
That's what they did with Clone Wars. They canceled
Clone
Clone Wars
Wars,
just
yep.
as the show was almost going to wrap up and have its best seasons. They canceled it, and instead they brought in Rebels, which is targeted to a much younger audience.
Yeah, that was my second example, was Clone Wars. And it's like, Disney, can't you just leave good enough alone? You don't have to start your own version of everything because you think you can do it better, or because you don't want to give credit to the people who started something good. Like, that arrogance pisses me off so much.
Mm-hmm. They are bringing Clone Wars back for a final season, but it's like years later, and it's not even going to be a full season. It's only 12 episodes, which, I mean, it's better than nothing. I'm glad that it's happening. I'm looking forward to it a lot, but you know, they should have just let the show finish before moving on to something else.
They should have. Completely agree.
Because they had a whole, I think, 2 more seasons planned out after season 6. They were going to make 8 seasons. They had every episode planned out. Some of them they had even done all of the voice acting and sound work for. But Disney just didn't let them finish the animation, so... Yeah. You know what? I'm a little bit thirsty. I'm gonna drink some water.
Speaking of Disney having to make everything themselves and not carrying over anything from anybody else, what did you think about them making Exegol, affectionately named Testicle by the fans?
Yeah.
What do you think about them making that the new Sith homeworld, as opposed to, is it Korriban or Morban? Because I've heard both names being used. I forget which one.
So have I. In the Clone Wars, Yoda travels to the homeworld of the Sith in one of the episodes. I can't remember if it's Moraband or Korriban. I think it's Moraband.
Because I know it's the same planet. It's just a different name, and I forget which name they went with.
And that's even in canon, because the Clone Wars is canon.
Yeah. So then, how do they get away with making another planet that is supposedly now the Sith homeworld?
I don't know. Like, literally halfway through watching this movie, I stopped caring about what was going to happen whatsoever because the leaps in logic and how much they undid the previous movie just it took me out of it completely.
Oh God. Yeah, the scene where Kylo Ren tells Rey that Emperor Palpatine is her grandfather. I was so unbelievably close from walking out of the theater, and the only thing that stopped me was the fact that I bought the tickets for my family because they really wanted to go, and I wanted
Mm-hmm.
to go with them, you know. And I was like, fine, I'll buy the tickets. I'll be nice for everybody. And at that moment, I was like, if I had not bought these and spent that money, I would be out of this theater right now. That's how ridiculous that whole scene was.
Oh, it looks like somewhere in here I missed a Lego piece that I should have put on. Oh god, now I have to find out where it was. Oh, okay. Well, that was easy. Figured it out. Yeah. So I'm building Kylo Ren's shuttle in Lego.
Oh, nice.
Which, like, okay, the worst thing about this movie is it makes me sad that I was a fan of the sequel trilogy in the first place, because it almost feels like the other two movies are just meaningless now without a satisfying ending, you know?
Yes.
But at the end of the day, I do like the first two movies, mostly The Last Jedi. You know, the Force Awakens, it's fun and it has good characters, even though it does too much of what we've already seen in Star Wars. But yeah, I think I sort of have to look at The Last Jedi almost as its own thing in a way, you know?
Me too.
Oh, chat. That's right. I'm live streaming.
Oh, wait a minute.
Sammy Long says it's Korriban,
Okay.
the Sith homeworld.
What was really funny actually, my family and I were having a very detailed discussion about this movie. And typically when it comes to my family, my mom is the one who watches movies and doesn't think too heavily about them after she's done.
Mm-hmm.
She just kind of watches it and then the movie's over and okay, I'm gonna go make dinner now or whatever. She'll just go move on to the next thing. She doesn't really think about movies or talk about them like we do. And then my brother's the person who enjoys talking about things after experiencing them, but he has a different perception of things. So he misses details or he doesn't notice things that could be plot holes unless they're pointed out to him.
Mm-hmm.
I was surprised at how well this conversation was going because usually when we talk about movies, we get into like stupid arguments over dumb shit.
Yeah.
But we were talking about this movie coming home from the theater, and the one thing that we all sort of like just pounced on was how absurd the lineage of Ray's family was. Because if you do the math, like how old do you think Ray is in episode 9?
You know, in her early 20s.
Early, okay, at least early 20s. How old do you think her parents were when they abandoned her on the planet?
They look
She
like they
was
were
what?
like early 30s or so.
Okay, so Ray was what, like 6 years old when she was abandoned?
Something like that.
5 or 6 years old. So do the math. At what point would Palpatine have had to have shagged someone
Yeah.
in order listen, I wouldn't have wanted to screw him before he got his ugly Sith face.
Exactly.
Can't imagine anyone doing it afterwards. And Force Awakens takes place 29 years after Return of the Jedi.
Yeah. And
So
if you calculate it all out, it ends up being like around the time of Revenge of the Sith. So was it before or after? I don't know. It makes it a lot weirder
yeah,
if it was after.
Yeah, I just
I don't know. Maybe
ah,
Rey's grandmother was a massive gold digger.
who the hell knows, man? It beats me. I honestly, I was half expecting the plot to take the turn that Jurassic World 2 took.
What's that? I
You
haven't
oh you
seen
never
that.
you never
I saw the
saw
first one and I didn't like it, so I didn't see the second one.
you didn't see Fallen Kingdom. Oh God, okay. Um dude, now that I think about it, Fallen Kingdom and Episode 9 are pretty much the same movie for their own respective franchises.
Hmm.
Right? Like Episode 9 did nothing really new, took a lot of ideas from the previous movies, did a whole lot of fan service. Fallen Kingdom was literally the same movie, down to the point where they copied shots from the original Jurassic Park movies. It's ridiculously lazy. Um, but more specifically, in the plot of Fallen Kingdom, there is a little girl named Maisie, and there's an old guy in a wheelchair who apparently was John Hammond's business partner when he was still alive.
Hmm.
And so the whole plot of the movie is that this old guy has a young businessman who's working with him, but the young businessman is corrupt, and he wants to get the dinosaurs to the mainland so they can auction the dinosaurs off to rich people, and the rich people can use the dinosaurs for hunting or stupid shit that no one cares about. And this businessman is like creating another genetic hybrid as if that wasn't done enough in the first Jurassic World movie. We have to do it again. Except this time, guess what? This time, it's not a T Rex with raptor DNA. It's a T Rex with more raptor DNA.
Oh
So
my
it's
god.
so it's more raptor than T Rex, but it's the same fucking dinosaur. Stupidities aside, it's revealed later on that the same technology they use to bring dinosaurs back to life from old DNA samples in mosquitoes,
Hmm.
that same technology was used to clone the old man's granddaughter who died.
So he has a clone of his granddaughter to be his new granddaughter, even though the original granddaughter is still dead.
It was something completely ridiculous like that. It was either his granddaughter had died and he like missed her so much that he wanted her back, or his daughter had died and he cloned his daughter, and the little girl was actually the clone of his daughter who now looks like his granddaughter. I don't know. It was
Oh.
some ridiculous, far-fetched crap that no one liked at all. And I was half expecting Rise of Skywalker to take that same turn with Rey.
um, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I'm glad it didn't. I mean, as far-fetched as Rise of Skywalker is, imagine how much worse it would have been if it took that route.
Yeah.
But yeah, just I saw the similarity there, so I had to point it out. Anyway, my family needs my help with something, so I'll be back as soon as I can.
Okay. That's right.
I'm gonna stay on the call. Just mute
Baby
my
Yoda
mic.
salutes you. All right. He's gonna go help his family out with something. Hi Sammy Long. Sorry, I didn't say hi. I sort of waved at you. Um, yeah. Sorry, sort of stopped looking at the chat for a moment. We got into it. But this ship is coming along. We're getting the base of the cockpit here. Sort of looks like a giant T right now. If I was making this video 1 year ago, I could make some sort of T-series joke or meme, but now it would seem out of place. I didn't know I still had R2D2 text tones from my emails. So I usually just don't have the volume on my ringer. What was that other thing I was going to mention? There's something that Ian was talking about. It actually looks like a giant sledgehammer or Thor's hammer than a T. Yeah, sort of, from the side, but, that way, no. It could be a face, sort of. What was that thing I was going to mention? There was something about the Rise of Skywalker. It had to sort of do with what Ian was talking about, but I forgot it. I think it was something about Rey and how the movie ends. What was it? I'm not sure. But one thing is, the title of the movie, The Rise of Skywalker, it's a bad title. Not only does the title sound like a weird fan fiction title or something that's not real, it just sounds cheesy and dumb. Not only does it sound bad, but it also doesn't really fit the movie or make sense to it. It's like, okay, The Rise of Skywalker. Skywalker, obviously, the last name of many of the characters in that universe. Did any of the characters named Skywalker felt like they rose exactly? I mean, not really. I mean, Kylo Ren climbs out of a pit that Palpatine throws him into, but I'm sure the title isn't referencing that, because that would be beyond stupid. So I think it just means the rise of the Skywalker family, or the Skywalker name, because at the end of the movie, Rey takes the name Skywalker for some reason, even though in The Last Jedi, the whole point of it is for her to be her own person and her own character. But, no one cares about that by the time you get to the end of The Rise of Skywalker, so, yeah. It's funny, how she goes to Luke's house on Tatooine and buries Luke and Leia's lightsabers there. Which is funny because, well, Anakin and Leia's lightsabers there, technically. Which is funny because Anakin hates sand. There's been a lot of good memes about that, so I appreciate that. I think the whole movie will be a lot more fun to watch in a few years once, like, every single line in it has been turned into a meme, just like with the prequels. Yes, chat. No, it's a bad movie, you pissant. Yeah. Dark Phantom, neither me or Ian are doing Infamous sequel ideas anymore. The bits in my videos where I do that, they're a joke, if you couldn't tell. It's not serious. But yeah, it was really awesome. I don't know if you guys saw the community post that I did, but there was an Infamous fan who saw my Infamous Second Age video, and he made 2 soundtrack pieces for that game that doesn't exist, only in my mind, but yeah. So, I mean, that's awesome. Someone went out there, they made 2 soundtrack pieces, and, like, they actually sound good. They don't sound like crap. Like, I get that she's doing it in remembrance of Luke and Leia, but it doesn't make sense that she would take that as her name, just based on everything that she's learned throughout the 3 movies. it seems so stupid and silly and fan servicey to me. You know, it didn't need to happen at all. This is an interesting piece that I have not seen in a Lego set before. It has a spring in it. Looks like we're building some sort of mechanism here. Oh, you were talking about the music. Okay, well, yeah, I checked that out. It was pretty awesome. Man, it just sort of set in how sort of tired out I am from all the Christmas holiday stuff. But hey, I had fun with it. Sometime I still need to finish Jedi Fallen Order. I was going to play that while talking about the Rise of Skywalker, but I decided to do this instead because it's something new, and I have this Lego set. But have fun with that. Do some sort of, video live stream thing for it. Okay, I'm guessing this is moving.
Okay, I have returned, and I have food.
Hello. You have food?
Oh. Yes, I have food.
What type of food?
I have tacos.
Okay. Tacos aren't bad. I was thinking maybe you would have, like, Christmas cookies or something, but tacos are fine, too.
Tacos on Christmas? Unfortunately, I don't have bread that requires you to add water.
Was that a reference to The Force Awakens?
Oh, God. Is it just me, or does anyone else think that Rise of Skywalker didn't feel like a Star Wars film because it was shot like a basic action movie? It doesn't have any transitions, any fades, any, like, of the typical Star Wars scene transitions in it. It's just cut after cut after cut and basic action shots.
Huh. Honestly, I don't think I noticed it that much. I'll probably notice that more on a second viewing because the first time I was so baffled at everything happening that it just sort of passed me, And the movie moves so fast, too. But yeah, now that I think about it, I think I remember there might have been one wipe transition somewhere in it. But I don't really remember seeing other ones.
I just found that a little strange.
Yeah. I mean, the whole movie, like, the pacing is very jarring. It's like they wanted the movie to move so fast that you didn't have time to think about how much things didn't make sense. Just, oh, it's fun. Don't worry that it doesn't make sense. It's a fun adventure. It keeps going. It's fast. It's action.
Yeah, I agree. Especially that beginning sequence, dude. I swear to God, I got whiplash
The
12
light
times.
skipping.
Oh my God.
You will have no suspension of disbelief in this movie. Oh, wait, did I do that?
They want to make you think that the Holdo maneuver somehow betrays canon, but yet here we have Poe jumping to and from light speed 15 times in a matter of 30 seconds, and you're just like, wait a minute, didn't Han Solo say something about if you're like 1 millimeter off of your plotting course, you'll run into an asteroid and fucking blow up.
Yeah, exactly.
And here he is, just like doing it on the fly. What?
Yeah, and so not only that, but he's going into planets at atmospheres while he does it. And Han does that one time in The Force Awakens, which is a little crazy, but you know, it's something Han would do, right? And whatever, it's a fun movie. But when that happens multiple times over and over within the space of like a minute, it's just going way too far.
Absolutely.
So yeah, my Lego ship's coming along. I have a foundation, some cockpit stuff here. I think you said your brother builds Legos?
Yes. Yes, he does.
Yeah, I did when I was younger. I didn't get back into it until about a year ago, actually.
You know, what do you think um about Kylo's mask?
Oh man,
Episode 9.
that was actually the first thing that I talked about in this live stream because there's a Kylo Ren minifigure here. It has the new mask. It's just it's okay. So when he breaks the mask in The Last Jedi, it's symbolism of him moving on from just, you know, wanting to be like Darth Vader and him really turning into a more unique character that's like his own villain that he will turn into, you know, once he kills Snoke and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And in this movie, it's like him putting the mask back together is like symbolism of him taking a step back as a character, which is
Yes.
just ridiculous. I think why they did it is probably to sell new action figures or something. I don't know.
Typical Disney. We need to sell more toys.
But hey, Star Wars has always been about selling more toys, even back in the day with George Lucas. Oh, I know. We'll just make them little teddy bears, cause the kids will love that. They'll buy them up. Oh, Mr. Lucas.
Mr. Lucas. Apparently he's mortified by this new trilogy.
Well, hey, he's laughing all the way to the bank.
That's true, he is.
Bye, Dark Phantom.
Goodbye. I like his final comment. Why don't
Yeah.
you guys do a fan rewrite of all 3 of the new movies? That's actually when I said you inspired me earlier, that's exactly what I was thinking about doing.
Interesting. Yeah, I'll be very interested to see how that turns out because, like, for me, I'm doing a rewrite of the last movie. I don't know if it'll end up turning into a YouTube video for sure or not, but I would like to do that. But yeah, it would be interesting to do a rewrite of the whole trilogy as well. Because, like, I think the first thing, if you were to redo the whole trilogy, I think the first thing that should be fixed is not make it, Empire versus Rebels again. Just do something new, you know?
Absolutely. I agree. It's kind of the thing that bothered me a little bit. At least when it came to the prequels, you know, it was still 2 giant, massive armies fighting each other. But it was interesting that both armies basically were working for the same guy at the end of the day.
Yeah, and it was all just his plan to gain more power.
the suspension of disbelief in the prequels, or I guess the thing that broke the suspension of disbelief for me was just how obliviously stupid everyone was to the plan.
Yeah. It's like, how did they
Yeah.
not find out way earlier that Palpatine is a Sith Lord?
Yeah.
It's so obvious. Like, even if they made those movies to where when they show Darth Sidious, they don't show his face, so technically you don't know it's Palpatine. And like, if someone watched the prequels first, without knowing what happens in the original trilogy, like even then, I think it would be very obvious that it's him.
Yeah. Now nobody notices that.
Yeah, and they say that he's clouding their minds with the dark side. That's just them writing themselves out of it with the Force.
Yeah. Wouldn't the Jedi be able to sense that?
Yeah.
Like, even if he was using the dark side to cloud their judgment, wouldn't the Jedi be able to sense his strength in the Force when they were near him?
Yeah, like even okay, maybe they don't they can't sense exactly who it is. Like maybe if he's the only one in the room they could. Like maybe they just know it's someone working in the political landscape, but they don't know who. I don't know.
And you gotta love how their explanation of him being alive in episode 9 is, did you ever hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise? Like, you guys can do better than that.
Yeah.
Surely you can do better than him recycling the line. Dark side is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural.
Unnatural.
Oh god.
Yeah. But they write something that's dumb and they don't even try to make it logical.
No, I don't. I saw someone write a comment on a post. It was like one of the trailers or something, and they said the only good thing about this movie is it makes me appreciate the prequels more.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think just because the new trilogy ended up the way that it did, I don't think it makes the prequels better. You know, I think they're still awful movies, but you can appreciate the good things in the prequels, such as the fact that they were planned out from the start, and that the overall story, although silly and nonsensical in some aspects, overall it makes sense with the direction and the vision of it all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. God, I'm trying to think about what else. Here's nice change of pace. I'll talk about something I liked since
Okay.
we've been bashing the movie for such a while. I really enjoyed the chase scene with the jetpack troopers.
That was fun. It was a fun action scene. I think like the first act of the movie where all three of the main hero characters are together, that was by far the most fun part of the movie for me. Just because I like those characters and the actors. It was nice to see them all on the same adventure. But yeah, and okay, uh, I think the character that they sort of handled the best was C-3PO, which is weird because it's C-3PO, you know? It's not some main character, it's the one note side character who's there for comic relief. And yet he has the most well written arc in the movie.
It's crazy, absolutely crazy. I've seen a lot of people, um, poking fun at the fact. I shouldn't say poking fun, but just kind of like saying it doesn't make sense that he can't translate the Sith language on the dagger because of his programming. A big criticism I've heard is that he can't translate it because the plot needs to be longer. I actually bought him not being able to translate it
Yeah, I did
because
too.
I think it made sense that the way he's programmed would forbid him from reading Sith dialect. Now, I can see the side of the argument where people are like, that doesn't make any sense because he's a protocol droid. What if the people that he works for need him to translate Sith language in order for them to get somewhere, aka the plot of episode 9,
Oh
right?
my god, I just realized something, Ian. This makes it even more
What?
stupid. Oh my
What?
god.
What?
Oh my god. C-3PO
Let's
was
hear it.
built
I'm
by
sure.
Anakin. Remember that?
Oh my god! Oh my god!
So some 9-year-old boy programmed C-3PO's protocol to not be able to translate the Sith language. He wouldn't even know what the Sith were.
Oh my god. Like I could maybe see it being a possibility that the people who got a hold of C3PO after the prequels were over,
Uh-huh.
like reprogrammed him not to do that. But when would that have happened and why would they have had any reason to do so?
Yeah.
See, there's oh my god.
Well, there's George Lucas and his prequel movies still baffling us to this day. Why did he make Anakin build C-3PO?
God. And that dagger in general. Oh, I know we talked
Yeah.
about this like privately earlier. The dagger is one of the biggest problems I have with this movie. Not only is it the fact that the dagger is an all-in-one MacGuffin. As not only is the dagger the key to finding the second Wayfinder that they need to find Exegol so they can stop the Sith, but
Mm-hmm.
the dagger is also the tool that was used to kill Rey's parents.
Wait, it
And it's this,
was?
yeah,
I must have not noticed that, or I forgot or something.
yeah. There was I forget at what point in the movie it was. I think it was in the third act when Palpatine was explaining like his whole evil plan to Rey,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a flashback sequence where it shows Rey's parents abandoning her on the planet, and they're on the ship with that the Sith loyalist, whatever his name was. I forget what his
Mm-hmm.
name was. The
Oh
alien
yeah,
guy who was
they
like,
find the same ship that Rey's parents used, and it's on the same planet as the dagger.
yeah. So it shows a flashback sequence, and it shows him stabbing Rey's father, and it's insinuated that the dagger was used to kill her parents.
Why?
Fuck if I know. So yeah, it's basically this like all-in-one MacGuffin where it's like, oh, this holds the answer to my lineage, and it shows me where I need to go.
Yeah. Ugh. So okay, I'm trying to figure out what the plot of this movie was. So the resistance. Here's some sort of transmission Palpatine sends out before the start of the movie, saying, I don't know what it says. He probably says something like, "I'm back, bitches. I'm gonna rule the galaxy again." I don't know, but so my brain can't take this. Palpatine. What was I thinking of? Okay, so okay. Maybe he says he's on some planet named Exegol, but they need to figure out how to get to it, right? Because it's in the unknown regions. And somehow they find out that there's a Sith dagger that will point them towards a Wayfinder that will point them towards Exegol, right? I think.
Yeah.
Where do they even find out about the Sith dagger in the first place?
Um.
This might just be my memory not being the greatest.
They're on that desert planet. Actually, I think it was a complete accident.
Really? Wait,
It's
so
a complete
what's
accident.
the reason that they go to
Because
the planet? Is it to find Lando?
they hold up.
I think
I
Lando's
have to
just
like think
there.
of. I have to think about this now. Hold on a second. So I forget the reason why they even go to the planet in the first place, which is really bad because that's like the whole driving force of the plot.
Yeah.
They go to this desert planet. There's this celebration or whatever, and then they are in the bike chase with the stormtroopers. They defeat the stormtroopers. They happen to land in a pit of black quicksand, and they fall into those tunnels. And when they're in the tunnels, they're looking around for a way out and happen to stumble across the dead body of the Sith loyalist
Oh yeah.
who has the dagger.
Yeah.
So it was a complete accident.
It's like, okay, maybe. Wait. Maybe they went to the planet because they knew the dagger was somewhere on the planet, but they didn't know where, and then they happened to find it. Maybe? I don't know. I'm trying to figure this out. Okay, so they go to that festival. Why were they
Right.
going to that festival? Was it so the C-3PO could talk to the locals and figure out where the dagger was?
No, because they didn't know about the dagger.
They didn't know about it at all.
No, not until they found it.
Mm.
I think there was some sort of like, there was some sort of a clue. I don't remember why they went to the planet. There was some sort of a clue about someone who was working with the Sith, and they went to the planet based on a lead to try and find out more information. I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
So the lead pretty much just said, go to this planet, and I'll
Yeah,
help you, or whatever.
basically
So,
just
was
like a
that meant
video
to be
game.
Hux? That's something there?
Oh, you know what? You know what? I think if my memory serves me correctly, I think what happened was they they were in the yes, they were in the Falcon. Finn and Poe were in the Falcon, and then they got that message from the alien dude who drops the cord into their ship,
Oh
and
yeah.
he goes, there's a transmission from a spy, and then they got the transmission, and then they left, and we learn later on that the spy was Huck. So I'm pretty sure that that moment when he gives them the transmission from the spy, that transmission is the information about is the lead basically about that desert planet. I think that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
The fact that just the most basic things in the plot are that complicated is an issue.
A little bit, yeah. Not gonna lie.
So yeah, they just so happened to find the dagger because they were running from the First Order in this speeder chase scene. So they could have ended up anywhere, but they just so happened to end up near the quicksand.
Yeah.
And then Finn's gonna tell Rey that he has a crush on her or something, and then Poe makes fun of him later in the movie, but other than that, it's never brought up again.
I was actually gonna talk about that. That really irritated me, the fact that they brought up another mystery and it never got solved, because J.J. Abrams has a hard-on for the mystery is more important than the answer.
Mystery box.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
Let me tell you that right now. As someone who has never made a full-length film in my life, but has studied film, that's bullshit. Um, but anyway, the big theory, and you've probably heard this too, is that Finn is force sensitive, and that's what he wanted to tell Rey.
Wait, really? I thought it was meant to be obvious that like he has feelings for her or something.
That's what I thought it was too. I thought he was going to tell her that, he loved her or whatever. but towards the end of the movie, when they're after he meets who is supposedly Lando's long lost daughter,
Uh-huh.
after he meets her and they're on Exegol and Finn and her and everyone is taking out the lead Star Destroyer. There's a moment where they don't know what ship to attack, and Finn says it's this one, and she goes, "How do you know?" And he says, "Just a feeling." It's kind of insinuating
Yeah.
that he's a little bit force sensitive, and I
And
think that's what he was going to tell Rey.
Yeah, I sort of like the idea that everyone is at least a little bit force sensitive. They just don't know it or try to use it. But it's like, why does it come up now? And like, it doesn't really go anywhere. The only thing it serves is to fix the plot hole of, oh, how do they know which ship to go for? And also, why did they ride the horses on the ship? Maybe I missed something, but I did not understand that.
There's there's literally one line of dialogue that explains it, and it's easy to miss if you're not paying attention. Which by that point in the film, a lot of people tuned out.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but there's a line of dialogue where they land the Resistance lands a shuttle on the Star Destroyer, and the Imperial officers on the ship are like, "Jam their speeders!" And someone else goes, "They're not using speeders." And then they come out with the horses, and you're like, "What the fuck? How did they know?" Like, how did they know that they were going to try to jam the speeder? So they brought horses just in case.
What were they even planning to do with the horses?
If they hadn't landed on the ship, like maybe they were going to use the horses to get to the antenna if they landed too far away. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's another big plot hole for me anyway. When it comes to movies like this with really intricate plans, especially on the villain side of things, Emperor Palpatine is supposed to be this great, big, intelligent, evil Sith Lord who wants to take over the galaxy. And if you're going to do that, and you have this entire fleet of Star Destroyers with an army of people that have come out of nowhere, if you're going to summon Genghis Khan's army out of your ass crack, then why would you broadcast your message before you actually enact your plan?
Yeah. I guess
You
it's
know?
because, oh, I'm evil. I'm a typical evil villain who never thinks he could be stopped or thwarted.
That's the part that really killed it for me
Yeah.
because this talk about a cartoon villain. If he really wanted this plan to succeed, he would have kept his mouth shut and just unleashed the fleet on everyone as a total surprise,
Yeah,
and
he
then
would have just
revealed that he
won.
was back. Yeah, he would have just won. Exactly. He would have. There would have been no competition at all.
He could blow up any planet in the galaxy and just win. The end. Roll credits.
Yeah, yeah, it's over. The end. That was the. Speaking of that, two things, that like both irritated me and also one thing that didn't make sense. So there's the scene where you realize that every single Star Destroyer now has a mini Death Star on it, right? A Death Star cannon that can destroy a planet. And then you see that scene when they're explaining that very detail. You see a shot of one of the Star Destroyers blowing up the planet Kajimi,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I thought to myself, wait a minute. One of these Death Stars is already out in the galaxy destroying a planet, but later in the movie, like way later after that moment, the whole plot of the third act is we have to stop the fleet before they can leave. But one
Yeah,
of the
and
ships already left.
yeah, and it's not just one of them because don't they show multiple of those ships like go down on different planets in the ending of the movie? Like they show Cloud City, they show Endor
Yeah,
and Jakku.
yeah. So like, how does the whole we have to stop them so they can't leave thing play into effect if they've already left?
Yeah, I'm gonna need
Like-
to move. I'm gonna need to see the movie a second time just to even understand the very basics of what the hell was going on. I mean,
I'm gonna
I
go
don't
see it
want to
again.
see it again, but I'm gonna go watch it with my sister and her boyfriend probably sometime this week. Because they haven't seen it yet. They don't like Star Wars very much. But they want to see this movie because it's so bad. They just want to laugh at how bad it is.
Yeah, that's what I told one of my friends. I'm gonna go see the movie with her either tomorrow or the day after. And I said, look, I do not recommend you see this movie if you actually want a good movie. But if you just want something really stupid to laugh at, we have to see this. And I even suggested to my mom, I was like, you know what we should do? When this movie comes out on Blu-ray, we should get it and then play a drinking game. Every time something stupid or doesn't make sense happens, take a shot. You'll be drunk 10 minutes in.
Yeah.
You would get alcohol poisoning and die if you did that for the entire length of the movie.
Alright, so I'm about to build one of the Knights of Ren minifigures. What a bunch
Oh,
of fun
boy.
characters who did a lot of meaningful things in the movie.
A lot of meaningful things. Yes, they sure did. Oh boy.
I'm not gonna build this whole thing on live stream because that would take a while. I'm not even like halfway done. Okay, let's see this Knight of Ren. Gotta find all the pieces to it.
Now, I could understand going back to the whole dagger situation for just a moment.
Mm-hmm.
I could understand if they created the dagger after the second Death Star was destroyed, because the way that the dagger lines up with the debris of the crashed ship and shows you the location of the Wayfinder could make sense in that scenario if it was made after the fact. But the movie never really explicitly says it was made after the fact.
Yeah. I mean, the whole thing is just a little bit far-fetched, that this dagger would even point to a specific place on this wreckage in the first place.
Yeah, it never really says when the dagger was made or anything. Supposedly it's some kind of an ancient Sith artifact, I guess. But I don't really know.
No one knows, not even J.J. Abrams.
No, he doesn't. Going along that same train of thought, well, maybe not the exact same train of thought because I'm going to talk about something positive. But I did enjoy the sequence on Kajimi when they're sneaking around and the stormtroopers are going knocking on doors. It felt very much almost like a World War II movie where the Nazis are like busting people's doors down and arresting people for random shit. That was a good sequence that really showed why the First Order is bad. You know, outside of, oh hey, we can blow up planets again.
Yeah.
I liked that it showcased that evil on a much smaller scale because the blowing up planets thing is really old, and when they brought out the fleet full of planet killing star destroyers, I was like, oh great, so the same exact threat done for the fourth time now.
Yeah. Like,
Like this is
the number one thing that this movie had to do, and it wouldn't be very hard, is to just simply not have another Death Star.
yeah, it's not difficult.
And I don't think any of the times that they brought back having a Death Star, it was needed, you know? Even in Jedi.
Absolutely
And
not.
every time it just gets more and more silly and just annoying.
something, anything.
Oh, one random side note thing that I did kind of like, just because of, it was a little silly thing, was, I liked that Poe used to be a drug dealer.
Yes.
Um, like, on one hand, it is just a funny thing that they can throw in there, but it also does show that, even someone who doesn't come from the best background can end up being a hero, which is what was meant to be shown with Rey in The Last Jedi. And, I mean, they do show it in this movie, but they show it in a different way, It was meant to be that she didn't come from anywhere special, and her parents just hated her. Or not necessarily hated her, but they just didn't really care about her. And then, what we learn in this movie is no, her parents did love her. They were trying to protect her from her evil grandfather.
Ooh.
And here's the two Knights of Ren figures if the camera will focus on them. No, it doesn't
Oh,
want to
nice.
focus. Oh well.
Speaking of that, one of the things that really bothered me about this movie's portrayal of Rey, God, I'm sorry I'm clearing my throat so much,
That's right.
is the fact that they want to shove this idea down your throat that she comes from a history of darkness and she's Emperor Palpatine's granddaughter and she has this evil in her blood, but the Jedi just like her for some reason. There's that scene where she's on the ground and all the Force ghosts speak to her and say, "Get up, Rey," what? And I'm just sitting here like, okay. I understand the idea of her having an evil background but wanting to be the person that breaks that chain, that changes that course of events.
Yeah.
Understand that. It makes zero sense that Rey would come from that background and have an evil lineage, which is what the movie is trying to get you to understand, is that she was born into this evil family history.
Mm-hmm.
But the Jedi, all of the Jedi, past and present, if there's even any more of them left after Luke died, it's basically just Rey. So the idea that all the Jedi of the past, just for some reason, like her, I thought
Yeah.
that was a bit like pushing it too far.
Um, One thing that I do like about that scene is that it has so much meme potential. Once the movie actually comes out, I want to take that scene and take out all of the actual lines that the Jedi say, and I want them to only say, like, the meme lines, like, I don't like sand, Rey. You know?
Oh yes, yes. There has to be a Sam Jackson Pulp Fiction meme in there. Get up, motherfucker. There has to be.
Say what again? Say what again?
Say what? One more
How dare
goddamn
you?
time.
Yeah.
But no, along that scene, I thought it would have been much more rewarding and had more character development if Rey was haunted by the voices of these past Sith lords, or just
Mm-hmm.
voices of evil in general, and she overcame that herself rather than just having the Jedi Force ghosts like her because she's the hero. It felt like the plot needed that to happen rather than it being a natural thing that would happen to her character.
Yeah. Also, if you want to get super technical, that moment breaks canon. Because okay, what we find out in the prequels and the Clone Wars is that not all of the Jedi become Force ghosts when they die. It's actually something that they have to learn and like be trained in first. That
Yeah.
already doesn't make total sense because Anakin never got trained in how to do it. But then in this scene, we have see, Leia is a Force ghost in the movie, but in the scene where they're all talking to Rey, there's also Mace Windu, Ahsoka, I think Liara, Ayla Secura, Ayla Secura, I think is the name of it. I think Kanan from Rebels, there's his voice. So there's other Jedi that in canon would not have even learned how to be a Force ghost, you know? Which, I mean, is something I wouldn't really care about that much, but it just shows how much they don't really care for the lore that they have already set up.
Yeah, you're right. It's really discouraging. Also, I find it kind of sad that Ahsoka's basically dead based on that scene.
Yeah. I haven't seen all of Rebels, but I know some of what happens. I think she lives after Return of the Jedi. I guess she dies sometime before then. I think it would be really cool to see that character come back in one of the live action shows they do. Like maybe the Mandalorian season 2, you know. It's possible if they want to show us how she died in between those events or whatever. Plus, they left the character open by not killing her off at the end of Rebels.
Yes.
So far, I've seen season 1 of Rebels, and I've started season 2. Season 1 was pretty bad. It's mostly just kiddie garbage. That has a lot of Star Wars fan service. So far, season 2 is actually much better. I'm hoping it doesn't end up getting bad, but just based on the first 3 episodes that I've seen, season 2 is a lot better. Which is actually how the Clone Wars was, is the first season wasn't very good, so maybe it gets better. We'll see. I'm guessing you haven't really seen any of Rebels.
I've seen clips on YouTube here and there. I've seen pretty much everything with Ahsoka, and that's about it because that's the only character I care about in that show.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen like the clips of where Ahsoka fights Vader, or when Darth Maul fights Obi-Wan and then dies again.
Yeah. Felt like that was a huge missed opportunity because what happens in that fight with Maul and Obi-Wan is that Obi-Wan basically slices him in half right down the middle, but they can't show it because it's a
Yeah.
kid show.
What I think they should have
Huge missed
done,
opportunity.
yeah, what should have happened is they shouldn't have put Darth Maul in Rebels, or if they did put him in Rebels, not kill him off in it. And then, because, okay, there's a weird thing in Solo where Darth Maul turns out to be sort of a villain pulling these strings in like the criminal underworld, similar to what he did during the Clone Wars. That's really interesting, but it's like, okay, where is that even going? Because Darth Maul already dies in Rebels, so we know what's going to happen to him. It would have been a lot more interesting if they didn't have the Rebels Obi-Wan versus Darth Maul thing, and instead had Darth Maul be Obi-Wan's like main villain for the show that Obi-Wan's going to have. You know?
Yes. Yeah, that like again, that would have made complete sense.
I wonder what they're going to even do with that show.
Beats the hell out of me.
Because, like, Obi-Wan has to still be in hiding, right? Like, he can't go to another planet. Unless, I don't know, maybe he does briefly? I don't know.
I'm probably just gonna have him walking around the desert looking after Luke.
If they somehow find a way to tell an interesting new story with that, then I like it. But I'm not sure what they'll do with it. I think after the rise of Skywalker, Kathleen Kennedy should no longer be the president of Lucasfilm because she's just done an awful job with it.
She doesn't know what she's doing.
Mm-hmm. Like, okay. The first movie that they did, The Force Awakens, was very safe. It was the safest thing that they could have done, and I get that. But then, from there, they didn't have a plan. They handed off to Ryan Johnson, who's this creative, quirky guy who wants to take it in a new direction. They didn't plan out how everything would end. And then there's this backlash from the fans who don't like the new direction. And the whole thing's just a mess. And then, okay, what baffles me is that they ended up listening to the fans so closely with the new movie that they completely make the first two movies, like, not even make sense anymore. Like, I sort of feel like they did it just to spite the fans, you know?
It almost does kind of feel like that.
Yeah, like, oh, we tried to bring back Star Wars and make it good again, but you didn't like it anyways, so fuck you, here you go, here's a shitty-ass fanfiction movie. It's probably what you want, right? And it turns out, for some fans, that's exactly what they wanted, and they're happy with it.
I've actually seen people on different comment threads saying this is a great movie, and I'm just wondering, how can you genuinely say that?
Yeah.
Like, I understand if you like a movie that's bad. I even understand people who say that they like bad movies because they're so bad that it's just hilarious to them, or there's a ton of examples I can think of.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between being able to say, yeah, I see why it's a bad movie, but I like it anyway, and actually thinking that it's good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have to be some special kind of messed up to see a movie like this and genuinely think this is how great movies are made. Because you're wrong.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Yeah, like, when it comes to the Last Jedi, I feel like it's mostly just a difference of how people view what Star Wars is or what they think it should be. But I feel like if someone really likes this movie, then, like, they don't understand what good storytelling is, and they probably just are there for, like, the fun ride and the action scenes or something. You know? It's like, even if you dislike The Last Jedi, as long as you're a reasonable person, I think you can at the very least see what it was trying to do and have some appreciation for that, you know?
You would think. I would think.
Also, I don't think it's true that such a huge portion of fans disliked The Last Jedi. I think that when you're on the internet, small groups of people have a much louder voice, and they really sort of trolled the situation and made it seem like that. And I'm not saying everyone liked the movie either, but I think they made it seem like a whole lot more people hated the movie than what was actually the case.
Yeah.
Which is just absolute toxic fandom to me. Anyways, have we said pretty much everything we're gonna say? Would you like to say anything to, like, wrap it up, maybe? Because I feel like it's getting to the point where I'm probably gonna end the stream pretty soon.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really have a whole lot. I don't have a lot to say about the movie. outside of what I basically complained about, I think that the plot made no sense at all. The beginning of the movie, again, super jarring. Just felt like it gave me whiplash continuously.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the fact that we have two fucking maps this time. We have a map to a map. Can JJ just make a movie without maps for once?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the best part of this movie, I have to give it one positive overall, not just like a scene or two, but an overall positive about this movie is Kylo Ren's arc. I don't necessarily agree with him turning back to the light side the way that he did. I
Yeah.
like
It felt like
I
it was
like
too
how
easy.
yeah, I agree. It was just after everything that had already happened in the last two movies. And then he randomly decides to do it in this movie. It didn't feel like his arc carried over across a large period of time. It felt like his arc all happened in one movie. I did like the scene with Harrison Ford. I wonder how much he got paid. I want to know because he hates Han Solo and he didn't want to be in
Yeah.
any more movies. So I got to know how much that dude was paid for that like 30 seconds of screen time that he got. But I like the fact that he has the lightsaber in his hand and it's like a repeat of Force Awakens, but obviously Han's dead this time, but he chooses the right decision. That for me was probably the best scene in the entire film,
Yeah.
personally.
The scene where he talks to the memory or vision or whatever of Han Solo.
Yeah, that was great, and I like how his character. For me, I think Kylo Ren is the protagonist of these movies. I know
He's the
that's
best
not the
character
idea.
in them.
He is. He really is. And it feels like even though Rey is supposed to be the spotlight character that you follow and everything is kind of told through her eyes, personally, I see Kylo Ren as being the protagonist because he's the character that seems to have the best development of all of them.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that
That was
Rey is
great.
a bad character like a lot of people think, but I always find whatever is going on with Kylo Ren to be more interesting.
It's far more interesting because he has conflict. Rey has nothing. Rey's just like, oh, my parents, who are my parents? Whereas Kylo Ren has a legitimate struggle going on. I felt like, especially if they were going to go with the Palpatine family backstory that they did, Rey should have also had some kind of an internal struggle between good and evil. She didn't. She was just I don't know. I just couldn't relate to her, and not because she was a girl, which I know is a main argument. You can't relate to her because she's a girl. No, I totally not the reason at all. I just she didn't have any sort of thing she had to overcome. She was just good at everything.
Hmm.
Yeah, and of course, they had to go and ruin all of Ben's character development with that stupid ending scene. I don't even have to tell you what it is.
The
You
kiss.
know already. The fucking kiss. Oh my god.
So here's the thing. I actually sort of like the whole Raylo ship thing or whatever, but the way that they wrote it into this movie just it didn't really make sense to me, and it felt like the kiss just kind of came out of nowhere. You know?
It did come out of nowhere. It absolutely came out of nowhere. And even if they were gonna go with the kiss, why did he have to die?
I guess I don't know. Maybe they think he's too evil to get a happy ending. Like he has to pay for the bad things he's done or something like that.
I mean, that would have made more sense. That would have made more sense if he was if he was killed off as an evil character. The fact that they redeem him, which I'm pretty sure everybody saw coming. Is it just me, or did anyone else totally see him redeeming himself
I saw it
as an
coming.
obvious
I
plot
think
twist.
one thing that was interesting about The Last Jedi is they give him the moment where he could have been redeemed, but then he doesn't take it because he sees the opportunity for power. And for me, that scene was like almost saying like, okay, this isn't going to go the way we thought. He's just going to be a bad guy. They're just gonna have to deal with that, you know? It didn't mean it couldn't happen, but in that scene, like, it was interesting how they played it off to make you think he was turning good. But then he wasn't.
I agree.
Yeah.
Oh, and let's...
Yeah.
You go first.
I was just gonna mention, Shark Boy said something in the chat, but we can talk about that after whatever you were gonna say, because it's a different topic.
I was just gonna say, if there's one thing that I absolutely have to mention before we finish this discussion, it's how utterly stupid Palpatine's death was. Like, obviously they had to kill him. Okay, they had to kill him. There's no other way around it.
But
But
how do we even know that he's dead this time when he came back before? You know, it's like that's the problem with bringing him back. Is like, well, we don't know if he's dead. Maybe he's still alive.
yeah, maybe his essence just transferred into another clone somewhere. But no, my biggest issue with his death is the fact that the way Rey kills him is by deflecting his own lightning, which has already happened before.
Yeah, it's like, how did he not learn from that? And in both cases, why would he just stop shooting lightning?
Exactly. This same thing almost happened to him 5 episodes ago. You would think that somewhere in this scene where he's getting damaged by his own lightning, he would stop and think, "Hey, this is really familiar. I almost died to this same thing God knows how many years ago. Maybe I should just stop firing lightning from my fingertips." And I understand why they had to do it that way, because if Rey would have been the one to deal the killing blow, then that technically would have been her striking him down. So he had to inadvertently kill himself. So by
Yeah.
using his own lightning, he's killing himself. But that still is just, it's weak.
Yeah, and I mean,
Lazy
that
writing.
logic doesn't even make sense in the first place. Just because she would kill him, it doesn't mean she's evil. You know, like, she kind of has to save the galaxy from him. That's something that I've never understood in any of these movies. As someone who's been a big fan of the series for years and years, you know?
The whole idea that in none of the movies before this did they ever explore the idea of characters having a soul or being able to like possess other characters. I know that's something that was more the expanded universe, and maybe what was that idea explored in the Clone Wars at all? I didn't see all of the Clone Wars, so I don't know.
Not possession. Not
So yeah,
exactly. With the Night Sisters, there's a little bit of dark magic stuff that sort of changes the way that a certain character acts, Darth Maul's brother, but other than that, I wouldn't say so.
so this is basically the first live action film where they've implemented the idea of characters having this essence that can be drained from them. And that if Rey kills Palpatine, then his soul, his essence is gonna possess her body and like make her evil. So
Which is the stupidest thing
basically,
ever.
yeah, basically, if she kills him, he's not dead. He's just
Yeah.
doing the same thing that he did the last time he died. He's putting his essence in another body.
Actually, Ian, I don't think that's what happened, because they show that he looks messed up, as if he's taken some sort of a beating. I think it's literally so dumb that that is the same body that Darth Vader threw into the Death Star. Like, I'm 99% sure that's what they were going for. Like, that's why his fingers are so messed up, I think, is because while he was dying, he was shooting lightning or something. I think that's what they were going for.
You're probably right.
It's not
Probably
even
right.
like a clone, like, or his essence or whatever.
It's just literally the same guy
Yes. I'm 99% sure.
who's been waiting around for 30 plus years.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Plugged into some machine that's barely keeping him alive.
And then he sucks the soul energy out of Rey and Ben, which for me was just utterly ridiculous. That was the most video game thing I've ever seen in my life in a movie.
Yeah.
Was that like, oh, I'm gonna drain your life force, it'll restore my health bar. Someone's got to meme that. Someone's got to put a health bar over that scene in the movie and just have it slowly refilling as he does that. And then the scene where he shoots the lightning up in the sky, I was like, okay, here we go with the cartoon villain trope again.
Yeah, now, one of my flaws with the movie, and this isn't a real flaw, this is that would have made a funny meme flaw, is when he shoots the lightning up into the sky, he should have said, "Unlimited power!"
I was just thinking the same thing. So, well, someone's gonna add that. Someone's gonna meme it eventually.
Yep.
Oh, God.
Well,
Yeah.
okay. I think that's it.
Sounds about right to me.
I will be making a review of this movie most likely at some point. That was sort of my first reactions and impressions after seeing the movie once, as well as Ian's.
Yes.
So yeah, okay. I'm gonna end this stream. Bye guys, thank you for watching.
Bye.
I don't know if anyone's left now. But yeah, bye.